You're listening to the LouddMouth Radio Network. There's this old saying that laughter is good for the soul. Can I tell y'all it's true? And the reason why I say it's true is because when you're in the midst of things that are extremely challenging, testing you and pushing you to limits that you may not have known that exist, and you can step back and laugh, would you believe it could take so much pressure off? Ask me if I know. Because for the last 6-7 months, I've been working diligently on a very up-and-coming 6-day comedy festival in Temecula, California, April 1st through the 6th. And I'm some X amount of 34 days away from the festival. And there's so many working parts, there's so many things, there's so many aspects that your hand is on, right? And it makes you feel like you're on this on this ride that is maneuvering. If you've ever been on a roller coaster and the roller coaster starts to hit those corners and it starts rocking side to side and it makes you hold on a little tighter and it makes your heart speed up and you start giggling uncontrollably. You notice that when you're on a roller coaster ride and it's probably at the point that you're probably your most fearful, when the ride hits the highest height or it speeds up to a point that is maybe uncomfortable for you because you're not driving it, but the rush is happening at the same time, and either you're going to scream or you're going to laugh or you're going to do a combination of the two. And it drives you to hold on tighter. It makes your heart jump and race. You can feel your chest going up and down. You can actually probably feel your heartbeat. And at that time, your heartbeat, your heart is racing, right? So your heart rate is increasing, and you might even become a little more shallow breath, right? You might even hold your breath. And then at some point, that ride may hit to the top, and then it'll come flooding down really, really, really fast. And then you'll probably either giggle again, laugh uncontrollably, or you're screaming your head off. And in some instances, some people crying. And if you've ever had that kind of experience, that's a lot how our life can feel at times, right? And I can say that right now, I feel like that. There are moments and points where I have these real extreme highs of things that are happening, and it's like all of this momentum of things that are going. And then there are times when something may kind of peak, and it makes me go, oh my God. I have learned to stop looking at the counter on the festival website, because when I do, it makes me absolutely nervous. It makes that heart race piece come that I just mentioned to you. It makes me feel like, oh my God. But then there's this part where I have to resonate my belief factors and take a deep breath and recognize that laughter is good for the soul, but also at the same time that knowing that God's in control of the situation and that you can make it through. Y'all ready to have this conversation? I hope so, because y'all know what time it is. It's Monday, and it's time for Sonny's Money Motivation. Let's go. Welcome to LouddMouth Radio Network. My name is Sonny. As a former professional athlete turned entrepreneur realtor and the producer of LouddMouth Radio Network, I look forward to bringing content to you that empowers, inspires, and entertains you. Tune in each week as we have unscripted and unfiltered talks from entrepreneurship, real estate, politics, entertainment, comedy, LGBTQ topics, day-to-day life, and everything in between. All shows available on demand 24/7 on your favorite podcast platforms.
Portals Entertainment Center is a new 13,000 square foot entertainment experience now open in Temecula. Portals creates a space where your imagination can be set free. Step into an immersive entertainment center that will take visitors into one of our many attractions, which include 2 9-hole indoor mini golf courses, an immersive laser tag arena, a designated arcade space, a food service component, party and event spaces, and a hidden 21 and over lounge. Portals aims to give each visitor a unique experience, taking them to unknown worlds and experiencing an entertainment center like no other. Open 7 days a week, located at 26469 Inez Road in Temecula, California, in between At Home and Temecula Theaters. Come check us out and step into adventure.
Here at IQ Facility Management Services, we provide commercial and residential cleaning service. We service single-family homes, multifamily homes, schools, office buildings, churches, interior and exterior areas. We give attention to detail in window cleaning, carpet, tile, flooring, or VCT flooring. We proudly service the Southern California greater area of LA and Orange County, Inland Empire, and Northern California. Contact us at 562-334-2448 for your cleaning service needs.
So let's just take this show for example. This is part of the roller coaster that I'm talking about, right? Man, listen, if you don't know about now, I make a firm commitment of bringing you these conversations every week. And you know, I tip my hat to those that are broadcasting every day, you know, and we listen to some of those wonderful shows, The Breakfast Club, Steve Harvey, Ricky Smiley, Rush Limbaugh, all these different people that have been doing, Tom Joyner, all these people that have been doing this on a day-to-day basis. It is not for the faint of heart. Do you know that? But I will tell you this, in the midst of whatever your tasks are, it can feel kind of heavy at times. But the best thing that can help to relieve it, I gotta admit, sometimes it's just straight up plain on laughter, man. Have you ever had something that had you baffled and you were just troubled and it had you kind of twisted in the wind to where you couldn't figure it out? You may have been troubleshooting it for hours. You may have been trying to go back at it. The other day I had a platform that I was working on, and it was a new software. It was a new program for me, so I wasn't familiar with it. I'm not a person that does a whole lot of instructional reading. I just kind of dive into things a lot of time and figure my way through. And a lot of times when you've had enough exposure to software and platforms and different things, they kind of have similarities of existence, and they have some of the same features and functions, right? So when you're in that position, you definitely ain't trying to read a whole lot. And unfortunately, we're lazy. We shortcut. We'll Google something and try to get to it quick as we can. And for me, that was happening. It was very much my situation. But let me tell y'all something. When I tell you that thing was pulling my hair, and I ain't got no hair on my head, y'all. When I tell you it's inches off the scalp, so you can only imagine. I was pulling the flesh meat off the top of my scalp in regards to how troubling I was having. And you know, sometimes technology will just try you, and sometimes it's not necessarily user error, but, you know, technology's connection. There was connection issues. There was some delays, and it was, I don't know if we went retrograde. I didn't even look. But it was kind of that type of situation where no matter how much I kept starting over, refreshing, cleaning the slate, getting it going, it would just give me these errors, or it wouldn't move past a certain point. And I had already labored into what I was doing to a point that it was the next step to move it to activate it, and I just couldn't get it to go. When I tell you guys, I went at it, and after a few hours, I said, okay, I need to step away from this, because I was ready to throw my computer. And I think it was something, I looked at something, or I talked to somebody, and they kind of, gave me some satire that relaxed me a little bit more, and I was able to laugh a little bit, and it relaxed me, man. It gave me a little bit of a breather. I think a lot of times when we're in these high intense moments and we got things that we're doing and we're pressed on time and we're pressed for responsibilities of it, or we're bearing down or facing down something that's of a magnitude that may be greater than what we can see our way through, you'll find yourself holding your breath, right? Or your breathing is very shallow, or you're not, as they say, sometimes you're just not breathing at all. That's that point where you're just really so pensive that your whole body is in this tight mode, right? And it makes you, it can feel distracting to the reality of what's going on, because sometimes you can walk away from something, come back to it, and discover, oh man, it was just this one thing that I wasn't doing that wouldn't allow me to get forward. Or sometimes you don't have all of the parts that you need in order for it to go. And I think it was a mixture of that for me. I hadn't had a lot of rest. I was up really, really late the night before, like 4:30 in the morning. Had to get right back up at like 8:30 in the morning, and had been running all day. And so from just all of those things happening, and I realized that all of these parameters were kind of working in conjunction, which was adding to my duress. Because I don't want to say stress, but it was adding to my duress, right? And it left me feeling like, dude, what in the world, So I was able to pull away, and recognizing that it was time for me to pull away because it just wasn't getting me anywhere. And I had a moment where I just reflectively realized that, okay, there's so many other things that I could turn around and focus on. And so I kind of leaned away from what I had that was drawing that kind of reaction, and reposition my focus. Sometimes when we have these things that are making us feel like we're not getting through, it can leave you to feel some intense moments of stress, right? And it can give you this feeling like, man, I'm not going to get through it. And, I know that I got a certain amount of time. And a lot of times when you're in those moments, don't look at the clock. It's heavy issue. Now, mind you, I'm telling you what I have to tell myself at times. And there's times where you do have to recognize how much time you're putting in something, and you do need to take notice of what the time looks like. But when I say don't look at the clock, don't look at it like in that objective mind that I'm not going to get done, I'm not going to get through it, because that creates more tension, that creates more stress levels to you, right? Sometimes you can pull away, even if it does have a time deadline, even if it does have some constraints that that you have to work through. Sometimes you have to pull out and kind of get that center focus. And I think me and God have been talking a lot lately, and I'm like, yo, you see all of this that's right in front of me. I know I create, this is a conversation I'm having with God. I know I stepped out. I know I did this, and I know I did that. And I believe in everything that I'm stepping into. But also I'm like, Lord, look at all of this, So I will also take that moment and say, you know what? I also have to trust that God knows my heart and knows where I stand in regards to my sincerity. So I think that there's another part to that a lot of times we'll do things, but if we're not doing them with real sincerity, if we're not doing them with real conviction of, not so much such a high intensity of egotism, right, but more of genuineness and more of a servitude, right? Even if it would become self-serving, but not looking at it in a way in which you're being overly arrogant about it, or that you're misusing others in regards to accomplishing your goals, right? I believe in inclusivity. I believe that I have taken the position to recognize that pretty much everything that I do requires people to use me in a way, to utilize me, to utilize my aspects, to leverage off of my talents, to yield off of my servitude, to embellish off of the resources that I'm bringing forth. And so I've totally got to a point of understanding that is where I stand. And in that position, it also gives me a furthermore understanding of, it gives me a further understanding that I've made my shoulders a lot wider than my physical stature at times. And what that may mean for many may not mean for all. And what I mean by that is that sometimes there are things that are meant for you to do. And because it's meant for you to do it, it may not be that everyone will walk or reciprocate at the time in which you think you would like for them to. But that does not mean you stop doing what you're doing, right? I also feel like being able to be soul-centered. And the one thing that I think is amazing is that God has given us these amazing things for absolutely free. Our five senses. If we have them, because there are some people that are born blind, there are some people that are born deaf, there are some people who are not capable of smell or taste, and maybe they have no filtering of touch. So if you got all 5 of those senses, that's one level of a blessing I can't even describe. But then 2, to understand that laughter, something that is within our ability to utilize, and it doesn't require anything from anyone else, but it's that thing, I think, that is God's gift, that is a automatic thing that we can just go to, or it can be triggered, right? And in its triggering, it feeds the soul. It gives us a moment of release. It gives us a moment of connection, because there's something that was given to you, whether it was in sight or in the audible form, that allow you to either hear it and see it, or just hear it, and it provoked that reaction. And that provoking of that reaction is coming from the soul. It just naturally comes out from within, right? It's like a singer. Somebody who sings is coming from their diaphragm, and that tone is coming up from the center of their bodies, up and out of their mouth, right? It's the same process of retrieval of laughter. Now, all of us may not be able to sing in a professional manner, but we all can laugh, right? And the ability to have something that is such a natural gift to be relinquished upon us, no matter how much money we have, no matter where we live, no matter what we look like, no matter where we come from, who our relatives are, what our family dynamics look like, what our economic position is, our political situation, our spiritual beliefs. It's something that is such a universal thing. And I can remember feeling like when I first started developing LouddMouth, and I wanted to frame a logo that resonated and could accentuate something that made sense about what I wanted it to be and what I wanted it to do. And I took my smile and created that logo. And I can remember feeling that day of it just shaping. And I can remember God's voice saying, you know, a smile is a universal language. No matter where you go, you may not speak a language that you go into different countries and different, continents, but a smile is something that's universal. And the very thought of that was like, that's it. That's it. And so that development of that brand element for me became something that had soulful purpose, right? Because I knew that no matter where I was in the world, no matter where LouddMouth reached, if somebody could see that logo and have an essence of what the brand meant, that I could reach them and touch them. And that's what I feel like God did when he gave us laughter. It's something that no matter where you are, no matter where, where things may be in your life, even in the saddest moment, even in the most joyful moment, even in a quiet moment, laughter is right there. It's right there available to you. And it's available to you to use at your own discretion. And it doesn't harm anybody if you're utilizing it for yourself in a way in which is consciously well for your soul's purpose, right? Guys, I just think that we're in a time and space where the societal way of the world is ever changing. And not everybody may agree to everything. Everybody may not walk in the same fashion. Everybody may not move in the same fashion, but we can enjoy the aspect of our souls feeling free. And I think that that's what laughter does. I think it gives you a soulful release. And I did not do research in regards to laughter and what it can do to the body, but I do know that it has some scientific and healthy measurements of our bodies. It's like dancing. Like if you If you were to work out, do cardio or do some dancing for like 30 minutes out of the day, that it could remove 24 hours of stress. So can you imagine if you're laughing and you're giving your soul that release? And I think it also makes us take away sometimes the seriousness about life. Sometimes we have so many things going on that we'll over-inundate ourselves and make everything be so serious to the point that it could disable you. It can sadden you. It can take you into a level of depression if you're not careful. It can change the trajectory of things around you. And laughter is an energy, man. If you've never had the joy, I recommend go to some place, whether it's a comedy club or a gathering or a setting, if you're having family or friends, and just pay attention to what happens when people start laughing in the room. And the energy itself, it converges, and it does something magical. And it's purposeful, right? I think that's one of those things that we don't recognize how much magnitude it really has, right? Some of my fellow comedians that have decided to pursue this in a professional manner, it's a high. It's a high, and it's something that is recognized as it's almost like turning on the radio. It's something that turns on inside. It's something that happens that becomes so incredible. And for a performer, like a comedian, to give language or to give essence or action, and it responds with the audience that we're feeding it to respond in laughter, then each and every time we felt like we just won. We came and we conquered, and we came and set out to do what we came to do. And that's that thing that's so amazing. So as I've been soaked into hours and hours and hours of preparation, hours and hours of communicating with other comics and observing and looking at footage and listening to their comedy sets and observing them and having an opportunity to evaluate settings and the whole thing, right? It just gives me furthermore appreciation. It gives me a level of gratefulness and gratitude that I get to do this. And my level of appreciation is so far greater than the words I can audibly communicate. And I feel like each and every time I get an opportunity to bring people in the room together, and everyone leaves with some type of level of joy, and they've had some embellishment of laughter, and I feel like we witness souls being freed. And even if it's just for 30 minutes, an hour, or 2 hours, or 3 hours of time period that we're gathered, and people get that release. And it's like we clock out for a minute. And in that time period, nobody's thinking about starving or not having this or not being that or not being there, or we're just all present. We're all very present. And that is the other gift that sometimes we forget. If we're present, that's another gift. If we're in the physical in this moment and we're able to look and hear and see and touch and smell and embrace one another, that means that we're all present, and that in itself is another gift. All right, y'all, I appreciate y'all taking the time to listen. Later.
Here at Wonderland Learning Center, we're located at 288 East Main Street in San Jacinto. We provide a safe and secure learning environment. We are now enrolling 2 to 5-year-olds with our preschool curriculum. We offer before and after school care. Breakfast, lunch, and snacks are provided. We accept all programs. We are open Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Our website is wonderlandlearningcenter.com.
You're listening to the LouddMouth Radio Network. Performing comedy is like creating magic. To hear the room explode with laughter is priceless. And to produce comedy is like having a glass of Stella Rosa, the ability to have others wind down with laughter. With LouddMouth Comedy, it isn't just about me, Sonny. It's also the many hardworking comedians that are dedicated to writing and performing night after night, stage after stage, displaying their talents to the world. and we all do it for the love of comedy. Sometimes you have to remember to relax and savor the moment, one sip at a time. Cheers. Here's to 13 years of LouddMouth Comedy. Save the date, April 1st through the 6th, 2025. Save the date, April 1st through the 6th, 2025. Sonny's LouddMouth Comedy presents For the Love of Comedy Spring Comedy Festival is happening right in the Temecula Valley area. We're talking about 6 days, over 10 plus shows, over 30 plus comedians. Woo, I need you to be prepared and be ready. So guess what? I need you to bookmark this website, LouddMouthComedyFestival.com. This is with a comedy lineup, all the announcements, schedule, all the great things that's going on from networking events, cocktail kickoff, multiple comedy shows. Even we'll have something for the family. I cannot wait for you guys to participate. So I need you to make sure you mark the dates, April 1st through the 6th. Hold the website, LouddMouthComedyFestival.com. And be prepared. More announcements coming soon. All right, y'all. Ciao.
Hello, my name is Takasha Smith. I'm the owner of Takasha's Kitchen, based out of Menifee in the Southern California area. As a chef and caterer, I provide private cooking classes, couples dinners, and private parties. As a female pitmaster, I am able to create a personalized experience for your family reunion gatherings. I create menus based on my clients' needs to have a more personal vibe. You can find Takasha's Kitchen on all social media networks such as Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and my YouTube channel at Takasha's Kitchen. And that's spelled TACASHAS Kitchen, KITCHEN.
You're listening to the LouddMouth Radio Network.